We continue to follow breaking news tonight in the search for the body of 4-year-old Javeayah Harris after her parents confessed to killing her and her mother admitted to disposing of her body. Today,
you're about to hear a 911 call that fooled almost everyone. Listen closely. I can't find my baby. That's the mother, Michilae, calling from 39 Hillsborough Street on June 30th. She sounds terrified. She sounds real. Every detail lines up. Pink Minnie Mouse pajamas. Pink beads in her braids, a dinner still cooking on the stove. If you didn't know what came next, you'd believe every word. But here's promise one. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the warrants say really happened to 4-year-old Javeayah Harris. And here's promise two. You'll understand why her mother made that call on that specific night, and not one night earlier. Because according to a former prosecutor who's analyzed this case, the timing wasn't random. It was calculated. Both parents have now confessed, according to arrest warrants. Johmarea Harris and Michilae are charged in their daughter's death. Javeayah still hasn't been found. You're not just watching another missing child case. You're watching the moment a cover story started collapsing in real time. Before we go further, hit subscribe. This case is moving fast, and we're covering every update as it breaks. So why did a mother who knew her daughter was already gone spend 5 minutes describing pajamas and beads with this much detail? The answer starts with what investigators found in the paperwork. And it's worse than the call itself. To understand why that call happened, you have to see what investigators say happened weeks before it. Evidence here's promise one, delivered. The warrants are public now, and they change everything. Investigators say Javeayah suffered an injury from physical conduct by her mother. That injury happened sometime between May 1st and June 15th, a window of roughly 6 weeks. Neither parent sought medical attention, not once, even knowing she was hurt. The warrants call this extreme disregard for well-being. That's not an accident. That's a choice, repeated, day after day. Here's the detail that separates the parents legally. Johmarea Harris's warrant says he didn't cause the injury. His charge exists because he knew about it and stayed silent. That's a different kind of guilt, but the law still calls it guilt. Then there's Herring's warrant. She allegedly admitted to disposing of Javeayah's remains at another location. Not the yard, not the woods behind the house, somewhere else entirely. Now do the math with me. The injury happened by mid-June at the latest. The call came June 30th. That's a gap of at least 15 days, possibly closer to 25. What was happening inside that house during those weeks? You need to understand something about that gap. It doesn't sit still. It grows. Every day that passes makes the truth harder to tell. On day 1, you could still call it an accident. By day 25, silence itself becomes the crime. That's not an excuse. It's a pattern investigators have seen before. And it's the engine behind everything that happened next, including a decision Herring made about one specific night. A decision she couldn't keep delaying. Because something was coming that she couldn't control and couldn't stop. That gap raises one question nobody outside the case had answered, until now. Key question here's promise two. Why that night? Why June 30th, specifically? The answer comes from April Sampson, a former deputy solicitor who has prosecuted cases built on facts like these. She has no connection to this case, but her read on it is chilling. Herring was 39 weeks pregnant. That means one thing. Labor was coming, and she couldn't schedule around it. Think about what happens when a pregnant woman walks into a hospital. 5 things happen almost automatically. 1. Medical staff review her history. 2. They ask about other children at home. 3. Hospital records already showed a living 4-year-old daughter. 4. Social workers get involved in standard intake. 5. Someone was always going to ask where Javeayah was. Silence wasn't an option anymore. Someone was going to ask the question Herring couldn't answer honestly. Instead of having to tell everybody what had actually happened, she said Javeayah was missing, Sampson explained, and hoped that would be enough for everyone to leave her alone. So she made a call. Not about finding her daughter, about having an answer ready before the hospital could ask. That night, Herring went into labor. She gave birth hours after the search for Javeayah began. Officers and drones were still searching while she delivered her second child. Sit with that for a second. The newborn is now with a family member. Social services stepped in immediately. Do you think the hospital timing theory holds up? Tell us yes or no in the comments. If Samson's right, that call was never about finding a missing girl. It was about surviving one question Herring couldn't outrun. And what investigators did with the time that call bought them takes this case somewhere you're not expecting. If the theory holds, the call bought her time. What investigators did with that time is where the case stands today. Suspect truth, 2 active scenes, 2 hours apart, 2 completely different purposes. The first is Beaver Run Creek, near Stumpy Pond in Fairfield County. Both parents have ties to nearby Union County. That's not a coincidence investigators are ignoring. DNR dive teams are working water-choked with submerged trees. Sled is on scene. Canine units are searching the woods. This terrain makes recovery slow and dangerous. The second scene is the house, 39 Hillsborough Street. A week after the arrests, investigators returned. This time, the coroner's office came with them. They used sifting screens on the soil. They marked evidence with yellow number blocks. They recovered a deteriorated piece of fabric and what looked like a shoe. A source told local news this wasn't part of the creek search. This was separate evidence collection at the home itself. That distinction matters more than it sounds. If you have any information about this case, contact the Aiken County Sheriff's Office or SLED's tip line directly. Both parents appeared before a judge and were denied bond. The charges carry 20 years to life. Only a circuit court judge can set bond on something this serious. Their next court date isn't until September 18th. That's more than 2 months in custody, while evidence keeps piling up, while a coroner's team keeps returning to that house. What do you think investigators were looking for at the house? 2 scenes. One search for Javeayah, one search for what happened to her before she was ever moved. While investigators keep working 2 scenes at once, a whole community has been doing something else entirely. Unresolved close. A memorial keeps growing outside that house. Stuffed animals, balloons, almost everything in pink. Hundreds showed up to a candlelight vigil downtown. Nobody claimed to organize it. People just started talking about a little girl most of them never met. A restaurant owner cooked 60 meals and drove them out to search crews on his own. Nobody asked him to. One neighbor said it best. No matter what you were born with, no matter what you went through, you are loved. Remember this. Both parents are charged, not convicted. Warrants aren't proof beyond a reasonable doubt. That standard is much higher, and a trial could be a year away or more. But right now, this is where the case stands. Javeayah Harris has not been found. The search at the creek continues. The house is still being processed. September is still 2 months away. Until she's found, this case stays open. And so do we. Subscribe now so you don't miss the moment this breaks open. What stood out to you most? What she said or what she didn't?